Should you be nice to the IRS? The IRS is a scary, dense organization. The IRS has powers you wouldn't believe, yet communicates in a way that is often indecipherable. Yet it is critical you understand what the IRS is saying, as if you get something wrong, the IRS can levy bank accounts, garnish any payments to you, file a tax lien, all without a court order. Adding to the stress is that everything the IRS is doing is real personal to you, yet it's not so personal to the person at the IRS who seems like they have the power to squash you like a bug. So with all of these constraints, is it at all possible to be nice to the IRS? Would you be better off being mean and nasty to them? You might think that by chewing out the IRS, you can get them to back off and be reasonable. You might think that by finding the biggest pit bull of an attorney, well, that will put the IRS in its place. Well, does it? I think I can answer this question by answering a different question. Are there any strategic advantages to being nice to the IRS? First, let me make it clear, at no point do I suggest not making the best possible arguments, or do I advise that you take shortcuts and cross your fingers and hope for the best. Nor am I saying you bake them a cake. Nor am I saying to accept everything the IRS does. Far from it. Very far from it. And sometimes niceness must be withdrawn when the IRS turns overly abusive. I do suggest, however, that niceness does tend to get you a lot further than being mean. Great results are no accident. Let me illustrate the difference. About 10 years ago, I was at an IRS conference sitting next to a CPA who had an office actually down the street from mine. He was bragging to me about how awesome he was. He might have been hitting the wine a little hard too. We were both sitting at the same table. He was showing me letters and emails that he was sending to IRS agents. He proceeded to tell me how much he enjoyed working overtime to humiliate and annoy every single revenue agent and officer that he ran into. He seemed to be quite impressed by himself. He was a force to be reckoned with, don't you know? Well, afterwards, I went around, talked to some of my friends in the IRS, what they thought of the CPA. The consensus was something like, yeah, we know he's a jerk. Too bad his clients don't know he's ineffective. So what did my friends at the IRS mean by this? I think I know the answer. Here's the thing. We tend to be nice. Now, some of it was bound to happen. My first partner, my father, David G. Parent, he worked in state and municipal agencies for decades. He was that government bureaucrat. And myself, I applied for a job as a revenue officer in 1997. So my dad and I never looked at the IRS employees as others. We kind of figured, well, you know what? They could be us. So intuitively, we were also nice to the IRS. We treated them as we wanted to be treated. And what has this niceness done? As much as I rail on the unfairness, the inappropriateness, and the injustice of the U.S. income tax, it'd be completely dishonest for me to say that IRS employees are bad. In fact, some of them have been the greatest friends to us imaginable. The following are 4 quotes from IRS employees who were speaking to us about various cases. While we did not necessarily get the exact thing we were looking for, we did get the overall relief our clients were seeking. So which one of these quotes do you think would happen if we were jerks? Here's the first one. Anthony, I can't let your client win on the statute of limitations issue as local counsel won't sign off on it. But what I will do is put your client into a hardship status where in 5 months, he can win on the statute of limitations issues. This saved my client thousands in legal fees and a complete disaster at home. If we were nasty, would this IRS appeals officer hand us this unconventional win? And here's another one. Anthony, if you can just get me proof that your client is trying to sell their vacant property, we'll push this through. I don't care what my manager says. I'll take the heat. This was a quote from a revenue officer who stuck his neck out to help us save our client's home and business. If we were jerks, would he have stuck his neck out? Here's another one. Sorry your client filed their tax court petition a day late. I can't do anything about that. But here, why not go to the taxpayer advocate? I bet your client has a better chance of getting that employee classification with them rather with the tax court anyway. This was a quote from an IRS attorney, and he was right. We ultimately won, and our client saved $480,000. Here's the last one. We were investigating your client for tax evasion and FBAR violations, but seeing how he's hired your firm, as long as you follow your compliance plan, we're going to move on to somebody else. This is a quote from a Department of Justice attorney. He saved our client from a criminal indictment and millions in taxes and penalties, restitution, along with the brutal humiliation of an indictment. You know, in all 4 cases, we got help from the people that were supposed to be against us. I think a reason why is that these IRS and Department of Justice employees saw our clients as real people. Government employees, while perhaps biased, are not inherently bad at all. Their goodness can seep out despite the government's best wishes. The thing is, you have to give them room to do so. Niceness helps create that space. Yeah, if I was calling on my own behalf, could I be as nice? Probably not. Why? Well, even my business tax issues are very personal to me. Even though I know what the IRS can and can't do, even though I've trained hundreds of others on how to successfully negotiate with the IRS, I'd never want to represent myself because I know there is a huge risk that my emotions can get the best of me, which could lead to alienating the very person who could help me out the most. Here's my closing thoughts. Max Weber, the German social scientist, coined the term bureaucracy years ago. He saw a prime benefit of a bureaucracy is, in theory, that it's supposed to treat everyone equally. But we know this is not true, because we know if we support our strongest arguments and treat IRS employees nicely, we will likely obtain a very unequal result. A very unequal result that our clients are thrilled about. At IRS Medic, our goal is to bring a whole bunch of understanding to the U.S. tax code so people can avoid tax disasters. So we cover highly technical topics like international tax laws to more everyday common sense questions people have about how to approach the IRS. If you're thinking of an IRS topic you'd like us to cover, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you know who is suffering with an unresolved IRS problem. Be sure to subscribe for our updates. We strive to make the IRS as easy to understand as humanly possible. This is Anthony Parent of Parent & Parent LLP IRS Medic, and I thank you for watching.